Dear friends, a doctor who specializes in hand surgery wrote in a national publication that at some point in every operation, he says, "My Lord and my God." The story behind this unusual practice dates back to when he was in the medical corps during the Vietnam War. One night, fresh out of medical school, the surgeon was called upon to remove a bullet from a soldier's hand. Moreover, he had to do it by flashlight. That operation moved him so deeply that after the war, he decided to specialize in hand surgery. Because of his specialty, the surgeon had a deep appreciation of the terrible pain caused by something such as a bullet ripping through the bones, muscles, and nerves of the human hand. He says he winces every time he thinks about the excruciating pain that Jesus must have endured when his hands were nailed to the cross. Referring to today's gospel, the surgeon says he thinks Thomas's cry, "My Lord and my God," was more than a profession of faith. He thinks it was also a cry of shock at seeing how torn and crushed the hands of Jesus were. Only then did Thomas fully realize what Jesus had suffered on the cross. And that discovery, says the surgeon, was almost more than Thomas could bear. The surgeon ends his moving article with his testimony. "Every time I operate and look beneath the skin of the human hand, I am reminded that Christ gave up his perfect hands for me. And I say with Thomas, 'My Lord and my God.'" Personally, I like that story because it makes a point about faith that we tend to forget. The point is this: each one of us must come to our own personal faith in Jesus. We can't believe it just because our friends or many others do. The faith of others does help us, but it is not enough. We must arrive at our own personal faith in Jesus, just as the surgeon did in the story, and just as Thomas did in today's gospel. I would like to share with you one of my personal faith experiences in Jesus. When I was pastor in India, I was building a church. I had a desire to put a statue of risen Jesus instead of a crucifix behind the altar. I went to the bishop and asked him which of those he preferred, the statue or the crucifix. The bishop told me that I could put either of them. He didn't give me a clear answer. On the way back, I asked Jesus for a clear answer. It was on a Saturday. The following day, I was celebrating Holy Mass out in front of the church because the church was not finished yet. After the consecration prayer, during the second part of Eucharistic prayer, Jesus appeared in front of me in a white cassock and with a red shoulder as a risen Christ, and he appeared like this, and pointed towards himself and told me, "Make this image behind the altar." I couldn't believe that Jesus would appear to a man like me. After the Mass, with more than a little skepticism, I asked Jesus if it was a real vision and that I wanted to see him at least one more time. The next day, it was on Monday morning, I was celebrating Mass at a large convent, and at the very same prayer time, Jesus appeared to me again, in the same way as he appeared the day before. Pointing to himself, he said to me the same words, "Make this image behind the altar." Now, without doubts or hesitation, I hired an architect who constructed a statue of the risen Jesus behind the altar. After I found a picture showing him as the risen Christ, I am proud and happy to say that it is still there. I am always grateful to Jesus for all the blessings he bestows upon me, and especially for this vision that deepened my faith in Jesus. You all might have a story of your faith experience like this. This brings us back to all of us now gathered in this church. We too must come to personal faith in Jesus. We too must find our own personal faith, personal reason that will enable us to fall on your knees and say to Jesus, "My Lord and my God." We can't put our finger in the nail holes in the hands of Jesus, as Thomas did. What then we can do? We can reach out in faith to Jesus. We can discover from our own experience that Jesus is risen. He lives in our midst, and he is ready to help us. So, dear friends, when Jesus said to Thomas, "Blessed are those who have not seen and have believed," he was talking about us. Jesus was saying to all the millions and millions of Christians down through the ages, including us here today, "Blessed are you if you believe in the gospel. Blessed are you if you reach out in faith to me. You will discover that I am risen, that I am alive, that I am in your midst right now, ready to help you and bless you and your family." Amen.